ready to go.
Make sure you're at your post this week.
All right. Welcome. And for those who have yet to meet Joe LaLicotta, thanks Joe and the Lava Trading Band for coming back every year for the 8th straight year. Thank you again for showing up.
Thank you very much.
So welcome to the 8th annual Wall Street Rides for Autism Research. I'm Brian Harkins here with my wife, Melissa. We're going to get to all the sponsorships. It's really been an amazing, amazing journey to get here today. Got a lot of exciting announcements to tell you how well we've done. So we want to welcome you to White Plains, New York, in beautiful Westchester County. But for many of you don't know that this is actually a global event. And we're going to live stream momentarily to welcome our riders who are riding also at our satellite rides in Toronto, Ontario, and in Baltimore, Maryland at the T-Row campus. So we're going to also welcome all of the virtual riders around the world, in particular in Kansas City, Missouri, London, UK, and all around the world who are watching us today on YouTube and on Facebook. We like statistics, so this is by far the biggest ride. We have 758 participants this year, which is amazing. So everybody, round of applause for that. And look, the weather, look, it's hopefully going to hold up, but I'm very actually quite pleased at the turnout. So really, thank you so much for, when I woke up this morning, it looked a little dicey, but it's the fact that you guys are all here really, really is appreciated. And let's not forget, the real reason we're here is, you know, the cause. We're here to celebrate families living and affected by the autism spectrum disorders. We're going to have a special guest later, tell you a little bit more about that. In the many years that we've done this, the impact that we've had on families and us to hear them personally and their stories, meeting the amazing scientists that all these dollars fund is really what keeps you all coming back every year. So with that, I'm going to kick off today's festivities. It's my pleasure to introduce Eric Epstein from Global Impact. They are the company that really makes all of this happen. And they're going to live stream from us today from Toronto, Canada. Eric?
Greetings from Canada. Brian, I don't know what you're talking about with the weather. It's beautiful here. We're excited to be hosting the inaugural Bay Street Rides Far event in Toronto after last year's successful satellite ride. It is my pleasure to introduce our Canadian co-chair, Neo Exchange President, Josh Schmidt. Josh?
Thank you, Eric. And what can I say? Good morning, Toronto. And good morning, everyone else around the globe who is participating to this incredible ride, this incredible event. I think that from my perspective, you know, we did it for the last 2 years virtually. It's absolutely fascinating and extremely rewarding now to be able to come together with so many of you. We're talking here probably about over 125, 130 people, partners, competitors coming together to do what is right. I would love to thank you all for that. I would love to thank you for supporting us and for making this possible. This is for a real good cause, a cause that I truly believe does not get enough awareness and does not get enough funding. But we are changing that, and we're going to continue to do that year after year. This is only the beginning of much more. Thank you very much for being with us. Take care. Back to New York.
Thank you, Josh. Now let's head south to Owings Mills, Maryland, to our Baltimore Rides Far event at the site of Diamond sponsor T. Rowe Price, where we have ASF Events Manager Julie Berger.
Good morning from Maryland. I'd like to welcome everyone back, and I'm especially honored to be back on the campus of T. Rowe Price for the second year of the ride in the Baltimore area. It's now my pleasure to introduce our Baltimore Ride Car Chair, the head of global trading at T. Rowe Price, Mark Wyatt.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Allison, for all that Autism Science Foundation does. I want to thank all of you for coming out and braving the weather. We had beautiful weather last year. This year's mean reversion, but we're going to go out there and have a good time regardless. I can't be more proud of T. Rowe Price being a diamond sponsor. Countless people have made this a success, but I have to highlight a few. Jeanette Johnson right here, Rebecca, Ian Barner, and again, countless other people. Price. So I thank you all for being here. Look forward to continuing to build on the momentum we have. We look forward to hosting you next year when the weather will go back up and be nice for us all. So be safe out on the road and thank you very much.
Now, Mark, stick with me for a second. Before I hand it back to New York, we have one more piece of business here in Maryland. The Rides Far Yellow Jersey. The yellow jersey is awarded every year to the person who has gone above and beyond with their support. The wearer of the yellow jersey best embodies the charitable spirit of the event. It is my great honor to award the inaugural Rides Far Yellow Jersey to Mark Wyatt.
You guys are supposed to yeah, that's
And now let's pass over to New York and hear from the president of the Autism Science Foundation, Allison Singer.
Thanks, Julie, and congratulations again to Mark Wyatt at T. Rowe Price, who is the recipient of this year's yellow jersey. Can we just have a round of applause again for Mark Wyatt? He's done so much and brought so much energy and enthusiasm and is the chair of our ride in Owings Mills. So I want to thank all of you who are here today to help raise money to support autism research. You know, 1 in 44 children in the United States are now diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. And it's critical for us to invest in research so that we can understand the causes of autism and develop new treatments for people with autism of all ages. Over the last 8 years, the funds that you have raised through this event have been put to great use. Because of those investments, we now know much more about the genetic causes of autism and the environmental causes of autism. And we've been able to help to develop new medical interventions and new behavioral interventions that have helped individuals with autism live full and engaging lives in the community and be much more able to participate in the world around them. So thank you so much for your efforts and your commitment. It's now my pleasure to introduce our other event co-chair, Melissa Harkins.
Thanks, Allison. I'd like to take a second to highlight our top sponsors for their generosity. We have a record 7 diamond level sponsors this year: SIBO, Figment, FTX, Neo Exchange, T. Rowe Price, TrueMid, and XTX. At the platinum level sponsor, I want to thank Block Damon, Forefront Communications, GTS, Paxos, RBC Capital Markets, and Talos. And our 11 gold sponsors this year are listed behind me. And while our silver and bronze sponsors are too numerous to list, have a look behind me at this impressive array of companies who are part of our community this year. Thank you to all of our sponsors, more than 65 in all, for your terrific support of Wall Street Rides Far. Now for some final instructions, here's Brian.
All right, we're almost ready to get you out there. But first, I also want to put out our sincere thanks to our Rides Far board members. Really, these guys and gals dedicate, this is a year-round effort to put this together. So Dave Laval, Chris Marino, Mark Dowd, Rob Salmon, Brad Vopney, Mark Wyatt, Josh Schmidt, and Jennifer Fakinson. You guys rock, and there's a reason why we're so successful on this day. Finally, when you're on the road today, we want you to spread the word. The social media presence is really what continues to amplify this event. So take some photos. The hashtag is #WhyIRideFar. We want you to put them up on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn. And so just really make sure you grab those smiling faces. So I'm now going to hand it back to Allison to give you a little bit of the rules of the road.
So at this point, I want to say thank you and good luck to everyone riding in Toronto, everyone riding in Maryland, everyone riding in London, Kansas City, and all around the world. Have a great day.
The Autism Science Foundation is dedicated to supporting people with autism and their families by funding scientific research to understand the causes of autism and to develop better treatments. At ASF, we believe the greatest gift we can give our families is innovative autism research that will enable individuals with autism to lead fulfilling lives with dignity. We do this by searching, solving, and sharing.
Since our founding in 2009, the Autism Science Foundation has funded more than $5 million in autism research.
Autism Science Foundation supports real cutting-edge research to really transform not just our understanding of the causes of autism, but actually transform treatment.
We believe that providing early career scientists with the funding to explore the topics they are passionate about is critical to retaining exceptional talent.
Young investigators bring new ideas, they bring new approaches, they force us to be honest.
These young investigators are the ones who are going to do some of the most exciting, highest risk, highest reward research.
We need research that's going to help families get through not only an early diagnosis of autism, but autism throughout their lifetimes.
Our advocacy helped result in The Lancet calling for use of the term profound autism and recommending that more resources be devoted to this underserved and vulnerable population. As the COVID-19 crisis dragged on, ASF continued to fund research through our COVID-19 grants to help understand the unique experiences of families during the pandemic.
We accomplished all this while still supporting other projects, including the important Baby Siblings Research Consortium. This is a collaboration of more than 40 researchers and clinicians from all over the world who are all committed to searching for the very earliest signs of autism in infants. Also, our SAM-SIB Stick Together initiative, which is a collaboration between ASF and ELS for Autism, it presents research findings that focus on siblings and disseminates resources available for siblings of all ages.
The Next Gen SIBS project will study the children of those unaffected siblings to see if we can uncover early warning signs in that population.
Everything this organization does is targeted to finding the best evidence-based practices to make my family's life better and all the families affected by autism.
It is more important than ever for the Autism Science Foundation to share information with families and with the community at large. We do this through our website and our award-winning weekly science podcast, led by our own Chief Science Officer, Dr. Alicia Halliday. These podcasts spotlight the latest and most important news in autism science. She also publishes her year-end summary, which distills the most significant autism discoveries and relates the news of the past year.
Additionally, Autism Science Foundation funding led to 36 publications in scientific journals. This will allow these scientific discoveries to be shared with a wider audience.
So the Day of Learning helps families because they're getting up-to-date information from the experts themselves in lay terms about some issue and or research in the field that's of great importance at the time.
I don't have to question the validity of what they're telling us, so we can trust it.
The Autism Science Foundation has just a stellar reputation. People recognize it as being driven by the science and only the science.
With 1 in 44 children now being diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder, we need your support now more than ever so that we can continue to do this important work and fulfill our mission of improving the real lives of real people.
The community at large needs to provide support to the Autism Science Foundation because this foundation provides the leadership that we as a scientific community require to ensuring that we address the most important topics to the families that we all are committed to serve.
Please donate today at autismsciencefoundation.org.
Good morning again. It has been brought to my attention that in that first section, I was muted. It's a live event. It's a virtual event. Some things are going to go wrong. I promise to do better for the rest of this virtual event. So let me just tell you again, I want to welcome everybody to the 2022 Rides Far virtual ride. We do have quite a few videos coming up. You just saw the wonderful update on all of the great work that the Autism Science Foundation is doing. We're going to bring you some videos from some of their scientists and also a bit later, a fun workout video. As you can imagine, the scientists who receive grants from ASF to do their work are immensely grateful. Here is a video from one of them, Dr. Heather Volk.
Hi, my name is Heather Volk and I'm an associate professor at the Johns Hopkins University School of Public Health and director of the Wendy Clegg Center for Autism and Developmental Disabilities. The Autism Science Foundation supported my work, which integrated genetic factors into a large database of infants that had an older sibling with autism. It's important to study these infants with an older sibling with autism because they let us see new ways of looking at how genetic factors and environmental factors might work together to change the course of an individual's neurodevelopment or autism risk. The Autism Science Foundation and Rides Far are important supporters of work like mine and many others, which seek to improve lives of individuals with ASD and understand factors which contribute to ASD risk and impairments that children with ASD might experience. We thank you for your support at the event today.
Now let's get into the research. I want to share a video from this past spring's ASF Day of Learning. Here's Dr. Amy Weatherby of the Autism Institute at Florida State University to show you how mobile technology can help families to detect autism earlier.
pleasure to be here and especially to be able to focus on the topic of mobile technology. If we could go to the next slide. On my slide. Oh, I guess I do that. Huh? Sorry. So I'm so delighted to have this opportunity, and I'm going to keep this moving quickly since I only have 12 minutes. So I wanted to frame it with what we've learned and the challenges that we still face. The AAP has recommended screening for all children at 18 and 24 months since 2007. And autism can be diagnosed by trained diagnosticians by 18 to 24 months of age. And the bad news, as we heard in the previous presentation, the median age of diagnosis in the US still hovers at 4 to 5 years and hasn't changed. Is still a concern. And worse is the notion that our disparities are shown. Children from minority, low income, and rural families are diagnosed a year to 3 years later, which may mean not having any opportunity for early intervention. So I'm going to touch on mobile technology that we've been developing and that we have available. I'm going to cover prototypes to improve early signs, intensity, getting started early and why that's so important, and then getting started right away. So the first thing I want to touch on is how a solution that we hope will help is to show you what the early milestones and early signs of autism look like with photos and videos. And so I want you to first consider, I'm a speech language pathologist, how do children learn the names of things? And let's use the example of dog, which is usually in the first 10 words, or cat, if you're a cat person. So if we think about a list of features, it doesn't work. To learn that a dog has 4 legs and fur and barks simply doesn't work, because we have dogs with a lot of hair, no hair. We have dogs who don't bark. We have dogs with no tails. And how do you know that these are not dogs? And are these really dogs? I'm going to explain that comment in a moment. So children don't learn words, which are really concepts and categories every word falls into. They don't learn them by the list. And most of the work that we do in autism, we start with a list of features. So maybe we can learn from this. Children learn words and concepts by prototypes or best examples. And the first example becomes your first prototype and then is shaped as you encounter more and more. And so the boundaries of our categories really vary from person to person, but we have the common core that we agree on in the meanings of words. So my best example of a dog is a standard poodle, because I grew up with one. And these are my poodles now. And so for me, like a Chihuahua just doesn't, it's barely on the outer edge, sorry. And again, if you have a Chihuahua, you might not see these as. So how can we use mobile technology to teach prototypes of early signs of autism? Because simply reading lists isn't getting us where we need to go. I want to play you 30 seconds of this little one just to introduce you to a prototype. And a key in identifying seeing the early signs is to notice what is the child paying attention to and what are they doing with their hands.
They fall down. Spoon and family are all gone. Spoon's all gone. Oh boy, now what you got? Whisk? Whisk. Whisk. That's a whisk. Whisk. Whisk.
So in just 30 seconds, you're seeing a lot of examples of what is, what are features of autism. And then you also notice mom is working way too hard and not yielding a lot of social interaction. So we have a number of resources. Look for our lookbooks. They're online, they're free, you can go to them. We have photos of many examples of early signs of autism. We have an elevator pitch if you have 2 minutes to learn and see side by side, typical in a 16-month-old. We have another minute, which you just saw LB, you can get to on Baby Navigator. We have our signature course about autism in toddlers, and we show 12 different examples of toddlers with autism, so you can see. And then we have our video glossary that we developed way back, I think it was 2007, way back, and we have 100 pairs of video clips contrasting the features. So we hope that that's going to help you picture that prototype, because you may never have encountered a really little one with autism. So secondly, we have developed a coaching model that we think is really going to help address the intensity needed to truly change outcomes of children with autism. So the research suggests that because the symptoms of autism can interfere with learning, that we need more intensive, like 25 hours a week is what's recommended from the research. But that means that the child is engaged actively and productively in meaningful activities. So we think about early intervention. This one marble represents 1 hour a week. That is kind of the average in our country of what we provide. The 167 marbles in the other jar represent the number of hours that go by before the interventionist is going to come back. And so what really matters is the time between intervention sessions. So we developed the ESI model. We published our first RCT in 2014, and it is designed to coach parents on how to build their child's first taking on a productive role in all these different kinds of everyday activities that parents are already doing to support their child's learning. And we also can do this mobily. This shows, you see the little picture above the sink is the interventionist mobiling in to coach the parent. And so then we build out the activities to have more and more productive roles. And that was a 7-minute activity. That's how we get the intensity. And so my third quick point is the importance of early. Here's a really interesting, I would call it an amazing fact. Did you know that, well, first of all, babies are born with 100 billion neurons, and all of us are, and brain development is actually a pruning process of those neurons. In the first 2 years of life, babies form 1 million new synaptic connections, not per hour, not per minute, but per second. And that is going on in the first 2 years, and it sculpts the brain. So there's a very rapid development, formation of synaptic connections, maturation of neurons, and continued plasticity allows the environment to have the greatest impact during these first 2 years. We've developed social communication milestones based on the 10th to 16th percentile, based on our evidence that we used, from 1 to 24 months of age. I want to show you another 30 seconds, and I want you to think about it as you're watching this. This is just, this is our milestone. I can watch you and imitate what you do and say, this child is forming 30 million synaptic connections as you watch him video. This is a typical developing child. Okay. So we have developed Baby Navigator as a companion. Parents can go there and register and create their own account, babynavigator.com. And then when they have their own account, we have all these different tools that they can get to all in one place. Our social communication growth charts for all families, monthly check-ins. We have lookbooks on gestures and actions that come in very early. We have our new social communication checkup screening tool online, and then our early signs. And then we invite parents to upload video. And then if it ends up looking like suspected autism, we open up our autism specific tools. I'm going to skip this video because I'm running out of time, but this is a 10-month-old that, if you have no questions, I could come back and play it, that mom went to Baby Navigator, joined it because she had just concerns, didn't know, but something's going on. And we got a video, a home video, and started coaching her at 12 months and seeing really significant outcomes. So how do we shift from let's wait and see to let's get started? I want to just mention that I have been so blessed to benefit from Baby Navigator. This is from a photo album that I made for my mom who had dementia. And sorry. The words are to help her understand and remember that she had a great grandbaby. At 8 weeks, everything looked great. You have smiling, sharing enjoyment. At 6 months, things looked great. She was just beginning, but a little late in sitting up. But smiling and sharing enjoyment. At 7 months, things started to slip. You can see her clenching her hands. You may not notice it, but I noticed it. Sitting up wasn't really stable yet. Toes are clenched. And by 9 months, the signs were clear. She was not sharing interests or attention. She was not developing her gestures. She wasn't playing. And my daughter's world became upside down. And I bugged her for a month. Checkup, and she did. And we started coaching her at 10 months. And she's now 21 months. She's walking. I have to say no thanks to the California early intervention system that took 5 months to get a PT to her. She is now looking, sharing interest, sharing enjoyment, has had 50 words by 18 months, which is what children should be able to have if they're in a really good learning environment. And she's now got probably close to 100. She has autism. She has rituals. She has repetitive behavior. She has meltdowns. But her language and social skills are changed and on target. So here's how you can help a family. Visit our new website, Baby Navigator, share it with doctors and anyone you know. It could change a child's life. It could change a baby's life and their outcomes. My last point, and I know I'm over, I gotta go and then open up for questions. We have a package for all families. On Autism Navigator, we have our how-to guide course, families who were in our ESI treatment study who gave permission for us to share their videos. It's a 15-hour online narrated course with a probably 75% videos illustrating the evidence-based strategies. We have a webinar. We're collaborating with Autism Science Foundation on getting this out there. Any parent who comes to the webinar gets the course for free. If they join Baby Navigator, they get it for free. And the virtual community, we're building an app which should be out this summer, My Autism Navigator app, to give the parents points and to have our inspirational ideas each day. So they'll have up to one a day, 365, and they can journal in it and get points and then get a little modest gift card. Thank you for hanging in with me. Please check out Autism Navigator and Baby Navigator. Any questions? We still have about 5 minutes. Yes.
Question.
Oh. I guess I don't get to call in, I'm sorry.
I could project, but I feel like this might be better. So you mentioned that there are still disparities between rural groups and at-risk minority populations. What are you currently doing to address these and to disseminate information to these groups?
Great question. So we are working with primary care doctors and agencies that particularly reaching out. We just finished a 5-year study reaching out to federally qualified healthcare, and other agencies that serve low-income families. I think that's the key. I think the other key is we need to provide financial incentives, because most of these families are overwhelmed, and they're the kind of work that they have, they don't get time off work without losing pay. And so we really need to think about the investment in all of our families, but particularly those that are low income. I think we're more likely to see bigger changes in those children quicker. It is so worth the investment, because we will pay later. You know the whole story of the cost of autism. We will pay later if we don't act earlier.
Another question here. Sorry. When I first heard years ago talk of parent-mediated interventions, it made me very nervous, because I felt like, how much can we ask parents to do? And do parent-mediated interventions put too much of the burden of intervention and potential progress on families? And you were the one who convinced me. So can you share with everyone here what it really means to participate in parent-mediated intervention as a parent?
And it means so much that you've moved from that position. It truly does. That's huge. You know, and I think if you keep looking at our videos, so what the parents tell us is the first 3 months are a lot of work, because that's when all the learning happens, right? Learning the model, the strategies. And then as you use them, they become secondhand. You just don't even think about it. I know, I see that in my daughter now. I mean, it's really amazing to experience it as a grandmother. So I see the effort she put in, and the payoff is immense. She's so amazed at her baby. And I think having autism makes her all the more amazing. But the fact that she's got, you know, a lot of words is great. And she still has meltdowns, but she'll be able to work through and learn how to regulate her emotion. And the better communication is just going to help that. So I think it's a lot of work at first, but the parents come back and they say, we empowered them. You know, we have a new Department of Defense grant. We're bringing the ESI families back virtually to see their children are now 12 to 16 years of age. So we follow them. We're like Hotel California. You can check. Keep following them if the parents will keep coming back. So I'm so excited to see them. We followed them at school age, and the sample had an average IQ of 100. And so there were not all of them were, you know, within not intellectual disability above that, but most of them were. So it's exciting to see the impact on cognitive and language skills, but just success in school. And so the parents come back and say, this has changed our life. This is important. We had one mom, low income, young, who came back to me and said, when we brought her child back at 5, and said, Dr. Weatherby, I'm going to now go to school. I want to become a lawyer to help families with special needs. I mean, this was someone who hadn't even been at junior college when she started. So seeing the impact on the family, it is a lot of work, but you're seeing change. We teach you how to see the change in your child, because we teach these little milestones that are so important, that it keeps you going. But the first 3 months is a lot of work. With our how-to guide now, you know, online, you can learn a lot of it online. We started with 3 sessions a week, and now I think we can do it in 1 plus the online course. So we're trying to be more efficient.
And another question over here.
Somebody had to ask a question on this side of the room.
Where are you? Thank you. Yes.
As a advocate of an autistic teenager, and on a personal level, someone that struggles with ADHD, I appreciate the presentation because there's a lot of slides. So I thank you for that. I did want to say that when my son was younger, we really experienced in New York the Disney World of early intervention, maybe sometimes too much. But once our son hit puberty, everything changed in a nanosecond. There were no services, no schools, no way. So I'm just wondering if the Navigator addresses puberty. It's difficult, and I'm happy to help because it needs to be spoken about. Thank you.
Yeah, great comments and question. And we often see autism and ADHD co-occurring too. So yeah, so we don't have funding to go on later, but we're trying to get funding. So we have a vision to create Autism Navigator for mentors. We're going to skip middle school and go to high school and maybe someday come back to middle. But I think having mentors in high school, I think our goal is to help more and more children get into general education kindergarten and stay there. Their outcomes are going to be far better. So that's going to, getting that early. But then, and it doesn't mean they don't need help, they just need help within the regular classroom and to be able to learn. But then as we get to high school, it's starting to think about getting ready for a job. And it's those productive roles that you taught when they were toddlers that you are going to help them have job skills. And so we'd like to develop some video training, coaching for mentors, thinking about this huge universe of mentors. Grandparents, volunteers, other high school students. My son was a preemie, has cerebral palsy. He wants to be a mentor for students with autism. He's employed fully and completely independent at 37. Amazing. So I think the mentorship to really help the student and for the parents to know these are the things to be thinking about when your child's in high school to get them ready. As college professor, we see the struggles, some video when students training who go on to college. And so thinking about the bottom line is success in adulthood is getting a job, even if it's 10 hours a week volunteer. Those are the adults that have our quality of life. And so we need to be moving and making that happen with our next generation. So we're hoping to be part of that with you and with ASF.
One last question here.
Okay.
It's actually not a question, more of a comment. Back to the disparities in diagnosis. I'm wondering if you've considered looking at home visiting agencies as an opportunity to partner and get in early. I know just with my own lived experience in the health department, when you're on Medicaid and you can't get into a primary care clinic, even with the federally health care center, because the wait list is just so long. The health departments are only giving shots and are doing no screening. And so those home visiting agencies might be an opportunity to get in.
Yeah. Great question. Great point. We've been doing that for a while. So there's a lot of different, I think in Florida, the legislature, when they funded us, said there's 32 different home visiting systems. Why do you need more money? Because they're not coordinated and they're not trained. So yeah, home visiting, I think that they're key. Many low-income families don't see the same doctor when they return and they don't have a relationship with their doctor. So I think the home visitors, we are just finishing the 5th year of our Autism Center of Excellence network, our ACE network, and we're doing a treatment study training family navigators. So we see a whole new workforce, which could be home visitors, could be parents, could be basically they're not specialists. So we define it as having only a bachelor's, but most may not even have a high school degree. So training them, my vision is that all families, when you have a baby, that you get a family navigator who checks in, could be virtual. That could impact infant mortality and many other things, as well as help parents learn the milestones. But first, it's really sleeping, feeding, and then milestones. So starting from birth, we have just got a new donation. We hope to do a pilot study on that. Right, and the home visitors are key and perhaps more important than the early intervention system, because if you can start early, it doesn't take the intensity that you need as the children get older. So let's make it happen. Thank you.
Rides Far would not be possible without the incredible support of our 65 corporate sponsors. Let's take a moment to highlight them. And you better believe the scientists who receive the Autism Science Foundation grants are grateful for your support. Let me show you what I mean. Here's Whitney Guthrie of CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
My name is Whitney Guthrie. I'm a researcher at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and an assistant professor at the University of Pennsylvania. I received an Autism Science Foundation postdoctoral fellowship in 2018 to develop a new method of screening for autism. My goal for this project important way for us to identify autism as early as possible. But unfortunately, our current methods miss over half of children who will eventually get an autism diagnosis. So my project focused on developing a new way to screen for autism. During this fellowship, I found that we were able to identify a group of children who were starting to fall behind in their early developmental milestones, things like learning to walk and talk, simply for us to identify autism as early in their electronic health records. We also found that identifying this pattern of development allowed us to identify about 50% of the children who were missed by traditional autism screening. Overall, my goal with this research is to use this newly developed method as a screening tool in pediatric primary care, and to help all children equitably access early diagnosis and supports. I'm grateful to the Autism Science Foundation and to RIDES FAR for this incredible opportunity. Through this fellowship, I was provided with funding that allowed me to complete this project, which would not have been feasible otherwise. And on top of the research advancements we were able to make, I also received really wonderful training and mentorship opportunities at a critical time in my development as an autism researcher. This fellowship provided an important launchpad for my career, where I continue to focus on the best and most feasible ways to identify all children on the spectrum as early as possible. So thank you.
The science that our funded researchers conduct can truly change lives. Next, I'd like to share another video from ASF's Day of Learning last March. Here's Dr. Brian Boyd from the University of Kansas to talk about improving diversity, equity, and inclusion in autism research.
A few years ago, I was leading a support group for parents who had children on the autism spectrum. On this particular day, we were focused on helping to address
diversity,
some of their
equity, and
children's
inclusion
challenging
in autism
behaviors.
research.
A Black father was seated across the room from me and began to describe his son's challenging behaviors. A few years ago, in many ways, it was a story I was leading I had heard before. He said that his son often tantrumed when he exited stores because he seemed to associate stores with getting new toys. And I said to the father, one strategy could be to allow his son to carry a favorite toy that he already owned into the store. And I'll never forget the somewhat quizzical look that came across his father's face when I said that. And then he said something to me that reminded me that his experience of America was different than the white mothers who were also a part of this group. He said, I can't do that because they'll think I stole something. He was telling me about his experiences as a Black man in America, and they were ones that I immediately identified with. And in that moment, I began to flash forward in my mind and contemplate, if the experiences of this Black father were so different, then what would be the experiences of his experiences as a Black man? The term intersectionality was coined 30 years ago by a Black legal scholar named Kimberly Crenshaw. It was meant to refer to how issues of race, class, gender, or other personal characteristics intersect to affect people's experiences and livelihood. But that simple word, intersectionality, reminds us that for many individuals on the spectrum, they are simultaneously negotiating multiple minoritizing identities. They are autistic and Black, autistic and LGBTQ, autistic and poor, or some combination of all of these. And so I think there really are a series of questions we have to ask ourselves as a field. If we truly want to advance issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, the first and probably most obvious, but I think the most important question is, why does this matter? It matters because some of the more replicated findings in autism research have to do with issues of racial and ethnic disparity. We find differences in the timing and identification of autism for Black and Latinx children. We find racial and ethnic differences in the quality and accessibility of services for these groups. We even find some differences in symptom presentation, with studies showing that Black children are twice as likely as white autistic children to have a co-occurring intellectual disability. We've also found that autistic individuals who also identify as LGBTQ have worse physical and mental health outcomes. These issues of disparity along the lines of race, class, sexuality, or gender are obviously not confined to autism. In many ways, we are in the midst of a social justice movement where many groups are rightfully demanding their seat at the table. But in order to advance these issues within autism, we need to have some common understanding of what we mean by social justice and how it is truly defined. You've likely all seen some variation of this image on the screen, but it only refers to one pillar of social justice, and there are four. It refers to the pillar of equity, the idea that some groups start off with unequal access to resources and power. Another pillar of social justice is access. Participation is another pillar, meaning that we truly provide opportunities for people to make meaningful and real, have meaningful and real decision-making input. And finally, rights. And we're talking equal and effective legal and political rights. And really, all of these pillars, the pillars of equity, access, participation, and rights, all of them will have to be addressed if we want a social justice movement in autism that is truly representative, inclusive, and fair. And so the second question we have to ask ourselves, and some of you may be asking right now, is why do we need a social justice movement? There was a recent study published by Obaid and colleagues in 2020, where they randomly assigned 493 white college students to read vignettes that depicted an autistic child or a vignette that described a child with conduct disorder. Those vignettes were also paired with the photo of a Black child or a photo of a white child. They also had those students take an implicit association test, which is a computerized measure that can measure implicit racial bias. And what they found were within group racial biases. So white students who are more likely to associate autism with white children and conduct disorder with Black children. The opposite trend was found for Black college students. So what are the implications of these findings for our field? So this map reflects the current levels of implicit bias in the United States. The darker areas of color mean that there is more implicit bias in those geographical locations. I want to be clear about the white areas. The white areas mean that we don't have enough data in those geographical spaces to visually depict implicit bias. It doesn't mean that implicit bias is absent in those locations. But let us consider if this is the current level of implicit bias in the country, and we tend to find within group racial biases, what does this mean for reducing disparity, racial and ethnic disparity in autism identification when many of our diagnosticians and healthcare providers are white. And also remember that implicit racial bias is only one form of implicit bias. One can have implicit biases related to disability, sexuality, class, or other personal characteristics. But also addressing issues related to diagnostic disparity is really only one reason that we should embark upon a social justice movement. There are really some other valid reasons. One being that if we don't move in this direction, we'll continue to privilege the voices and experiences of some groups over others. We'll also potentially continue to exclude perhaps talented individuals from the field who may be the very ones who could address some of our more vexing challenges and research questions. The final question we have to ask ourselves is, what does social justice look like in autism research and practice? What does it mean to go about the hard work of moving towards action? So I'm a researcher, so I naturally think we need metrics, some way to measure the progress we're hoping to make as we try to advance issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I also think that I feel compelled to say that me giving more talks on this issue should not be one of those metrics. But we have to determine, what does it really mean to achieve racial equity in autism? What does it mean to have a field that is more diverse and inclusive? Are we referring to making sure our study samples are more racially and ethnically diverse or socioeconomically diverse? Are we referring to recruiting more researchers of color into the field? Are we referring to doing more research on families or children from underserved communities? Are we referring to making sure that more autistic stakeholders are involved in research planning and implementation? Or are we referring to all of those things? Perhaps we are. I certainly have some ideas on things I think we should consider as we move forward in this direction and try to embark on this idea of social justice and advance these important issues of equity, diversity, and inclusion. The first is, when appropriate, our research methods should always give voice to stakeholders. So we should use such methods as community partnered research methods where appropriate. Second, we should recruit and retain more researchers of color, including autistic researchers of color, into the field. We also need to figure out how to best support these groups, so that researchers from these groups, so that they don't continue to feel marginalized. Third, I feel strongly that we must consider the strengths and not just areas of deficit and risk for families of color or those who have been historically marginalized. Our research should serve to promote resilience and strength and not reinforce stereotypes. And finally, we just have to keep the conversation going. It's easy to let these issues backslide as other issues arise in the field. But we're going to have some difficult conversations about how issues of systemic racism, ableism, and xenophobia affect the lives and outcomes of autistic individuals and their families. You know, and in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., who spoke about the fierce urgency of now, he said, "This is no time for apathy and complacency. This is the time for positive and vigorous action." And so I want to leave you with the words of a Black autistic mother, words of a Black mother of an autistic adolescent, who I think speaks to the fierce urgency of now.
I could start with, what does it mean to be a Black mother, period? So for us as parents, there is always an anxiety. I like to say that the feelings, the memory, and the spirit of historical trauma and the story of Emmett Till just lies within within our room, within our soul in the Black community. The fear of a Black mother. I mean, I always say Black folks are not allowed to be unapologetically themselves. They are not permitted to be neurodiverse. And we know this on a lot of levels. So my biggest fear is if an officer approaches my child and my child begins to stem, have to put his hands in his pocket to take out one of the little things he likes to hold on to help him with his anxiety. He's got one of his little trinkets or things that he holds on to and reaches into that pocket to pull it out to calm himself. What's going to happen to my son?
So I really think until we can answer the underlying question that this mother is posing of whether her son, because he is Black and autistic, is much more likely to be the next Dante Wright, Philando Castile, Tamir Rice, or George Floyd, then we still have work to do. What is going to happen to her son? Thank you for having me today. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Boyd. That was an amazing, very, very thoughtful presentation, and I think gives us a lot of pause about things that we need to be doing better or that things that we're not doing at all. So my question is, what can institutions, organizations, training opportunities, and funders do to help move forward social justice?
Yeah, I think, these issues are obviously complex and they're going to take systems level reform. So it's what can we do at different levels? So what can we do at the level of the provider, where we can do a better job around training and how we think about these issues of inequity and how they may be sort of exacerbated within the healthcare space or those of us who see individuals on the spectrum. Certainly at the level of funding, we can think about how funders can put forth funding announcements that may really help to make it a priority that we're addressing some of these very big, perplexing issues that continue to hold us back. We continue to see study after study showing racial ethnic disparity in a variety of ways. And so now let's fund some research that really helps us to address some of these issues. So no one group is going to be able to do everything. But I think, part of it is just to continue to have these conversations, but also think what we can do given the space we're in and the place we occupy to address some of these issues.
And we did get a question, one great question, many great questions, but someone actually just flat out asked, as a white clinician, how can I help more families of color, both in her practice and in her research?
Yeah, well, first, the fact that you asked that question is shows awareness. And I think some of this stems from a lack of awareness. So this person may know the work of Lisa Cooper, who did a lot of the work in the healthcare space around how doctors talk. Ask fewer questions to minority patients. So I think about the interactions we're having. And are we asking the same questions? Are we treating people in an equitable way? Or having conversations, though, about with people from those racial and ethnic groups to ask, are there things that you think this group is experiencing right now that would be important for me to think about? As we know, a lot of folks right now, in particular, those of us in the Black and Asian community are dealing with trauma, racial trauma in a variety of ways. So that's certainly impacting us. And so that may impact how the parent of a child with autism talks to you on that day because of what they're experiencing. So, but I think it's important that you ask that question, but the awareness is a big part of it.
One more final question,
as we know,
is how do we know that, what are some specifics about metrics that we can use to ensure that we're doing the right thing and doing less of the wrong thing?
Yeah, I just put forth some ideas, but I think it's part of the conversation we need to have. I hope all the things I suggested were important. Certainly, I think we want our samples to be more representative of the actual population. I think we want more scholars of color to be recruited and retained in the field. I think we want more autistic stakeholders to have real and meaningful input into the research that's happening. So how do we track these things? How do we measure these things to make sure that they're happening, and to make sure that we're continuing to advance these issues? Because what I don't want to happen is us to stop talking about these things, because they are important, and the only way we're really ever going to address them is just to be honest about these conversations and continue to bring up these topics.
After all that science, how about a little self-care? Are you ready to move? I'm delighted to share a workout video by fitness guru Brad Stevens. Clear a little bit of space around you, grab an exercise mat if you have one, and let's get busy.
Hey riders, crew and friends, how we all doing? I am about to do a 20-minute workout with you guys here. You will not need any weight, only your body weight. You only need your body weight for this. We're gonna go through a quick warm up. We have 2 intervals and a quick finisher, so about 20 minutes give or take here. But let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna do 30 seconds for each of these movements, starting out with jumping jacks right here, nice and easy. We're going right into the workout. 30 seconds, just to get the body warm here. So we don't have to do anything crazy. There we go. Give me another 15 seconds, halfway through. Again, if you need to scale this back, we can step outside, side. This is your workout. I want you to push it at your own level. Here we go. Keep going. 5 seconds. We're going to go into knee cradles next. 3, 2, right here. All you're going to do is pull one knee into the chest, hold for a second, switch out to the other side. So we're getting a little bit of balance here. We're stretching out those legs here, back down. Good. We will be doing some leg movements, some upper body movements. We're gonna make sure those legs are nice and stretched out. Here we go. Another 10 seconds here. Good, 5 seconds to go. We're gonna go into knee cradles next. 3, 2, right into some inchworms. Right here. All you're gonna do is to the side one knee here. You're just gonna walk your hands out into a plank position, hold it here, and then walk those hands back in. Good, repeat those 30 seconds, as fast or as slow as you need to go on these. If you want to make it a little bit tougher, add a push-up here at the bottom, back out of it. To go. Try to get one more in here if you can. Good, another 5 seconds. And we're going to start back with those jumping jacks. 3, 2, back into jumping jacks. Another 30 seconds here. Right, the goal is to warm up the body, right? Like we were talking about. Get those muscles nice and loose, ready to go. Good, if you need to modify this, feel free to do so. We can always go into the standard marches like we were doing before. Butt kickers, keep the jumping jacks. Whatever you want, whatever you need, your workout, right? Whew. All right, go. 5 seconds. 4, one more in here if you 3, can. 2, knee cradles. Grab that knee, pull it in, hug it, switch it out. Here, back out. Good, good, good. There we go. Halfway, 15 seconds to go. That's it. Good, 10 more seconds. Nice and easy. There we go. 3, 2, back into those inchworms. Straight legs, walk him out. Push up if you can. Walk it back in. We got it. Another 10 seconds down, 20 seconds to go. Whew. Here we go. We are working and stretching the back of the legs here. Those shoulders are working, stretching those out to get us walking out. And if you're adding that push-up, you're doing that chest in there too. Another 5 seconds here. 4, 3, 2, take a little break, catch your breath. All right, we have 3 movements, 40 seconds per movement, 2 times through. A little break in between, right? So that 20 seconds. We're doing squats, T push-ups, and sit-ups. So for squats, standard squats, sit down into it, back up. Next one, the T push-up. So you're gonna do a standard push-up. We have modifications for this if you need to. So from here, you're lowering yourself to the floor, come up, rotate to the side, making a T with that body into a side plank, back down. You can add an additional push-up. As we're going through it, but starting with squats, right? Nice and easy, going as low as you can here. The squats are on your programming, lunges are gonna be great too. Here we go, 3, 2, let's go, just standard squats. Here, back up. All right, and if you're feeling a little fancy today, we can always make these squat jumps coming up and back down, right? If that is not in your programming, keep it right here, nice and easy with those squats. You're already 15 seconds into it. Whew. Good, focusing on making sure we push that butt back, sitting into it, my knees aren't passing the toes, and then we come back out. Here to here. There we go. Last 10 seconds, keep squatting for me, keep going. Good. Whew. Have you broken a sweat yet? Because I am already sweating. 3, 2, take your 20-second rest. So if push-ups are a little hard for you, we can always do those from the knee. Same movement, we're here, pushing down, coming back up. Coming into that full plank for that side plank for the T if you want, or staying right where you're at with the other part. All right, here we go. 5 seconds, we're gonna start, and we're in for 40. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Push up, rotate to the side, come back out of it. Push up, and rotate, here to here, good. Ooh. As many as you can do, as long as you don't lose form, right? We want to straight line with the body, chest coming all the way down on the floor if you can, almost touching. Good, good, good. Here we go, 20 seconds left. Keep moving through it, keep pushing. And rotate, you got it. 10 more seconds. Whew. 5 seconds to go, 4, 3, 2, and rest. All right, abs here for this sit-up. Modify if we need to, right? Standard sit-up, coming up and back down. Crunches are another option, or we can always plank, right? Whatever's in your programming, whatever works for you. Another 10 seconds to catch your breath. You're going through it. All right, on the ground, getting ready. 3, 2, and go. Sit up, back down. Good, elbows are coming all the way to the knees if you're doing full sit-up, lowering all the way back down, flatten out that back, come back up. Try not to use momentum and try not to swing those arms, right? Place those hands beside the head, up and back down. If you need to, that crunch, we're just crunching up, back down, working the abdominals here, back down, good. 20 seconds, keep going. There we go, there we go. Whew. 10 seconds. All right, 5 to go, 5, 4, 3, 2, take a little break. 1 round done, right? We're gonna do that one more time. Same thing, going back into those squats. Whew. Grab a sip of water, wipe yourself down. Get ready, 10 seconds. You still have 10 seconds to go. All right, guys. Goal is to elevate that heart rate each time we go into it, right? Spike that heart rate a little bit, let it drop. We're changing the muscle group each time. Here we go, 3, 2, and go. Targeting the glutes and the legs here, right? Squat, we'll work everything in that lower body here. Down and back up. Good. Your breathing can be heavy. That is fine. You can hear me trying to breathe a little bit here. Breathe, talk, and move. There we go. Almost there. 20 seconds down, 20 seconds to go. Long spine, chest out, shoulders are pulled back, standing proud. Good. Don't let that spine round, right? We don't want to collapse forward. We're not bowing. We're hinging from the hips down and back up. 3, 2, good. 20-second break. All right, friends. We're going back into this push-up now, right? Modified push-ups if you need to, standard full push-ups, whatever you got. Slow them down, but I want you keep moving if you need to, right? The goal is to keep moving for the full 40 seconds. 3, 2, and let's go. All the way down and rotate. There we go, good. Here to here. That's it. 10 seconds down, 30 seconds to go. If push-ups are not in your workout right now, if you've done too many, try to see if you can just do these rotating side planks. side to side. If you're still feeling good, knock out those push-ups right here. You feeling fancy? Go ahead. Coming down, come up, clap, back into it, right? It is your workout, try it. Whew. Here we go, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, rest. All right, friends. Abs, sit up. You got this. Modified movements if you need to, right? If those sit-ups weren't feeling good that last round, we can try this thing, the leg lift, crunches, planks. Here we go. Get ready, because we're going to do it last time. 5, 4, 3, 2, and let's go. 40 seconds on the clock. There we go. Focus on your breathing, right? Deep breaths in, get oxygen into that body. We don't want to hold our breath. Make sure you're breathing. Whew. Good. Good, good, good. Come on. We're almost there. You get a nice little break between these two circuits. Earn that break, right? That's the goal. Where are we at? Where are we at? We have still 15 seconds or so to go. Keep moving. Keep a distance between that chin and the chest. Don't tighten up. What goal is to keep the neck in line with the rest of the spine here. Here we go. We're going to give you another 5 seconds right here for 5. Keep going. 4, 3, 2, and rest. All right. Full minute to recover. Catch your breath. We have 3 new movements now. Same thing though. 40 seconds on, 20 seconds rest, 2 times through. So we have lunges, we have dips, and we have the plank. Lunges, standard lunge here, right? You're gonna lunge out here and back up. The goal, 2 90-degree angles, body center between both legs as you come here and back up. Modifications to come if you need them. All right, we have dips. So this movement can be done with a dumbbell, can soup, water if you have it at home and we don't want to do the dip. You go up overhead, see in the mirror there, here and back down, here to here. If we don't have weights, that's totally fine. Because it was programmed to be dipped anyway, so that's body weight. We're here. What do you want you to do? Dip down, back up, here and up. We're targeting the back of that arm, right? Last but not least, we're going into plank. High or low plank, I don't care. I just want to make sure we have a straight line with the body and we're feeling strong and good in them. Whew. All right, 20 seconds. Take the next 20 seconds, prepare. Starting with those squats, right? Or lunges, sorry, lunges again. So if you have any knee issues, try a reverse lunge. You're gonna step back. Instead of stepping forward, here to here. It's gonna take a little pressure off the knee, but it is gonna target the glute a little more booty work. All right, here we go, 5 seconds. Lunges, 3, 2, 1. Let's go, lunge it out. Body in between both legs, 2 90-degree angles. Again, that knee is not passing that toe. Whew. We're nice and strong, nice and tall, chest out, shoulders back. Good. Keep moving through it. Hitting those legs. There we go. 20 seconds. Whatever your arms need to do, let it do it. I'm always switching up what I do with my arms. There we go, there we go. Keep moving, keep moving. 10 seconds. You have just 10 more seconds of lunges. Again, remember if you need to, reverse and up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. All right, so I gave you your dip options. Body weight, or if you have water bottle, can of soup, whatever you got, and you want to hit going overhead, here to here, that's fine. 10 seconds. We're in it. 4, 3, 2, dip it out, right? Hit those triceps, little arm work here, here to here. The triceps should already be warm because we were just doing those push-ups. Triceps are secondary movement when we're in push-ups, right? And you're gonna feel those triceps start to burn real quick. Goal again, remember, don't stop moving. We're here, right, with that dumbbell, if you have it overhead. Elbows are pointing forward, here to here. The nice thing about going overhead here is we're targeting that third muscle head. So try for tricep, meaning 3, because we have 3 muscles on our tricep. Here to here, good. Keep it going, we have 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and rest. All right, last but not least, the plank, and then we start this over one more time. 15 seconds to go into it. Again, this is ab focus, right? So we're holding it, isometric hold in that plank, but if you want to, you can always change it up. You want to go back to sit up? That is your prerogative, right? 3, 2, let's plank it out. Right here. If we're in that plank and we want to challenge ourselves a little bit, try a camel plank. Is going from a high plank down to the low plank or to the elbows and coming back up into that high plank, right? Alternating side, let's start here to here. If that's not working for you, hold the plank, just hold the plank. You don't have to move. It is going to force those muscles to engage a little differently. Whatever's working for you, right? We're doing the workout together, but it is your workout. Here we go, 10 seconds to keep holding. Straight line, don't let the pelvic region dip. Don't push that booty up in the air. You want a straight line here. 4, 3, 2, and we're back. All right, 20 seconds, we start that over. Back into the lunges again, so we're gonna hit those legs again. All right, 10 seconds. Deep breath, focus in, you're almost there, right? Last round, and then we have a finisher. There is a finisher. I told you, people always say I don't tell them. 3, 2, and let's go. Lunge it out here and back up. Here. Good, 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 good. Keep moving, come on. We got these. Lunge it out. Ha. Here we go. Lunges are one of those things I love to hate. So good for you, but they kill those legs, right? Here we go. We have another 15 seconds, sorry. Keep moving. Don't want to take any time from you guys. You deserve the full 40 seconds here. Another 5 seconds to go. 4, 3, 2. All right, we got it. Catch your breath. Triceps, right? Hitting these guys right here. Overhead, dip. If you have a bench or something, or a table, coffee table, you want to do this off of, feel free. The dips are with the body weight are definitely going to be a little harder. I don't know about you, my body weight is a little more than a 5-pound dumbbell I was just carrying, right? So I'm going to feel it more when I'm down here on the floor. And it's not a big movement. Don't feel like you have to move a whole lot here. Almost a pulsing movement is what it's going to feel like, but I want you to try to hit that full range still. Keep going. There we go. Another 20 seconds here. Good, good, good. We have another 15 seconds. Keep pushing those triceps. 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest.
And that's our virtual ride for today. Remember, it's not too late to fundraise. We already raised over $1 million, so let's keep it going. Thank you for all you've done to support the Autism Science Foundation. Make sure to follow us on social media for updates. Now get out there and enjoy your day.